Instead of those feelings going away, they continued to worsen. And so that's, I guess, when I started just knowing that my heart was always at home.
We're good.
Jordy, can you kind of go through a little bit about what last week was like for you, and a lot happened in a short period of time?
Yeah, it was a week of a lot of highs and then also some low feelings, just because it was hard to leave what has been so great the last 2 years as far as just the people and everything. But you come off of winning a national championship and going to Toby Keith's and hanging out with him afterwards, which was pretty cool. But then you have to break it to your teammates and your coaches that you've decided to make the decision to come home. And so that was kind of sad. But once I got home and have started to settle in, unpacking everything finally, it's just started to sink in that, like, this is real. I'm not going to have to leave home again, and I'm going to get to represent it. And so that's just been a feeling of just happiness, relief, joy. I'm just very excited to be here. So a long week, but a good week.
How did that reconnection with Coach Revelle go? Did it feel like you guys picked up where you left off?
Yeah, I would say we did. It was just kind of a feeling of, wow, this is so full circle. So pretty cool, open arms from staff, and so that was just a really cool thing to walk into.
The tattoo of the outline of the state, when did you get that, and how long have you been looking at it, in anticipation of this?
Yeah, so I actually got the tattoo my freshman year at school. Like I said, I was still homesick even then, but it was always important to me to represent Nebraska even being away. I've always made it a point to be proud of being a Nebraskan, and I think part of being away for 2 years was good because, if anything, just my love for this place and just the pride in representing it grew. But yeah, I got it my freshman year. It was during the spring season, and so we had 2 days going on during spring break, and I went in between our morning and afternoon practice and just got it. So yeah, kind of funny.
Jordy, what was your reaction to what a lot of people are calling the Bahl effect, the spike in season ticket requests since you transferred?
I don't know, the Bahl effect, that's kind of, I don't know. But it is very cool. I'm very excited for this program and this team and just this state. I think it's going to be kind of just an emotional moment, taking the field and seeing Husker Nation show out for our softball team, but it's something that is very, very exciting.
Having played for a program that's obviously been really successful, what can you bring now to Nebraska, a team that hasn't made it to that point yet?
I don't know. This team has a lot of strengths, and so I don't want to walk in and in any way feel like I'm overstepping anything. That's not what I want to do. I just want to come into this program and help in whatever way I can, and I just think our team is going to work hard all season to just leave it all out there, and then when you just leave it all out there, it's in the Lord's hands. Whatever happens, you're giving everything that you have, and that's all you can ask for. So it's going to be fun to see what happens.
Who on the current team are you tightest with, and what was their reaction to you coming back?
I grew up playing a lot with Brooke and Billy Andrews, and so they were actually one of the first people to call me when it all kind of went out that what was happening, and they were just excited, and it was very good to hear from them, and I grew up playing with them, so it was really cool.
One of the things that you really hit on in your first statement that you were leaving Oklahoma was how much you wanted to embrace the game here and grow the game here. Why does that mean so much to you?
Just because I was the little girl playing on little club teams around Nebraska, and it was always super cool wearing Nebraska across your chest during the summer and then going out to play in tournaments in California and play teams from big softball states like that. And just no one's really expecting anything from the team from Nebraska. It's like you're a true underdog, and so it was always cool getting to compete with the best of the best. And so that's just a really cool feeling. And also, like I said, home has always been super important to me. And so even when I went down to OU, it was hard because I never wanted to leave home. Like, this place and these people mean so much to me. And so it would just be so cool to just capitalize on what this team can do and have little girls dream of playing for this program.
What have you experienced over the last 4 or 5 days, since you made it known that you were going to continue your career here, whether it's in the community in Papillion or in Lincoln? What kind of experiences have you had interacting with people?
One moment that I thought was really cool is that I went to the Papio softball camp because that's where I played high school, and it was shortly after the announcement had been made and little girls were coming up to me saying, "Oh my gosh, I'm going to get to watch you play." And so I think that is just super cool because, like I said, it's right in their backyard, and I was that little girl at one point. So that has just been a moment where like it starts to sink in, like, wow, this is really, really awesome.
Is there anything you feel like, I guess, you've learned in the years since you left high school and now, coming back that you can take into this time with Nebraska?
Yeah, obviously Coach Gasso is an amazing coach, and I learned a lot from her and just from playing with the girls on that team, just about the game in general, and a lot about just confidence and just believing that you can. And so I think just being around them for 2 years and learning from them as people and as coaches and players was, had a big effect in my maturity as a person and just in the game. And so, like I said, I just want to be a confident presence, I guess, and like I said, not overstep anything, but just be here to help in any way I can.
Jordy, outside of softball, just now being a part of a school that champions women's athletics so much with volleyball and everything else, but how meaningful is that to you to be representing Nebraska?
It's really cool. This university puts women up here, and so you see that especially with the volleyball. The attendance for their game that they're going to have at Memorial Stadium is awesome, and right when that came out, I was at Oklahoma, and Coach Gasso then was like, how can we do this with softball? I think that this program just sets a standard that people want to follow for women's sports, and so it's going to be really cool to be a part of that here.
Jordy, when was the last time you saw a game at Bahl?
I was with my parents, and it was, I don't remember exactly what game it was, but I was still in high school. And that's another cool thing is that I grew up coming to games here, especially with my dad. Every year we would do a daddy-daughter date night. And so a couple times we made that night a game at Bahl. So again, that's just another example of full circle, and it's going to mean so much to be playing on that field.
Got 2 years to go here. What are your goals? I mean, you want to go to the World Series here, obviously?
Like I said, the goal is to leave everything out there and see what happens. I'm a firm believer that the end is already written, and so with that, you just show up every day and give everything you have, and it's in the Lord's hands. It would be so cool to see Nebraska in the College World Series and just make the run that I believe that this team can make.
Obviously, you were an All-American at Oklahoma, but coming here, there's a lot more limelight going to be on you now. I mean, do you have to worry about like time management and knowing that you're kind of the face of this women's athletics department now?
No, I don't look at it like that at all. I'm not a person that loves the spotlight, and in any way I can, it's deflected to the team. And so I don't really look at it like that way at all. And so also when you don't look at it like that, you don't feel that. So, yeah.
Initially, you committed to Nebraska as a freshman. What went into changing your mind to leave if you were so tied to here, and then what leading to come back?
Yeah, I was a junior in high school, or sophomore or junior in high school. I was young, and at that point in my life, I wasn't aware of how much I needed balance until you leave home and you're 7 hours away from everything that means so much more to you than the game itself. And then I realized I can't love the game itself if I don't have these other things in my life that I love so much. It's just everything gets out of whack. And then, like I said, I think a lot of maturity, a lot of growing up. I'm thankful that I went down to Oklahoma because, like I said, I learned a lot, and I wouldn't really change anything. I believe it all happens for a reason. And I had amazing opportunities down there and met some amazing people. But I think in those 2 years that I was down there, my perspective on a lot of things changed just in maturing in my faith and maturing as a person, but also just maturing in the game all around.
Can you detail your support group that you have in this state? Who's most important to you that you're excited about being able to watch you up close play those 2 years?
I would say my brothers, and I would say I'm more excited to be able to watch them play than I'm excited for them to be able to watch me play. My entire life, they have just thrown all their support at me and been there for everything. And I'm just excited to be able to give them that same support. I'm excited to go watch my brother play football at Midland. I'm excited to catch my brother's basketball games at Papio South during the winter. And I'm just excited to be able to catch up with my brother for lunch while he's teaching in Papillion. So they've always been my best friends. And I'm just, I think, very excited for all the opportunity I'll get to be more closely connected to them.
Anything else for Jordy? Okay, thank you, Jordy.
Thank you.
We'll have Coach Revelle up next.
Are we going straight to questions?
If you want to give an opening statement, I don't see that.
Well, you know, this is a really exciting time for Nebraska softball. The talent that Jordy brings from an athlete's perspective is unmatched, right? But I think you just heard the human being that we're adding to this already really high character team. And you know, the timing for her coming into this program, I think, is actually perfect. You know, this culture is healthy. It's really healthy. It's vibrant. A lot of people have done a lot of work to get us here. We've had 2 really strong years on the field, and you add an arm like Jordy Bahl with the returners that we have that have had a lot of success on the field. It's an exciting time for Nebraska softball, and it's an exciting time for our staff and those that get to take the field with her.
Rhonda, you kind of touched on this in talking about her as a person, but you've known her since she was coming to camps, what, middle school, elementary school? So what's it like for you to watch her in that moment that you just did the last 10 minutes?
Well, that's a great question. Thank you for asking that. I was trying to remember, it was 12 or 13 when I first met Jordy, and I think I even heard about her before that. And the thing is yes, she's matured as a young woman, but she was that person then. You know, I remember very distinctly one time her saying, "Coach, I can't come to this camp." You know, she talked about her love and her affection for her brothers. That's really true. And they would take turns on whose turn it was to go to camp. And at one point in time, it was one of her brother's turn. She wasn't going to come to camp. And I always just had so much respect for how she was always so other-centered, whether it was her family or a teammate or, you know, somebody even outside of that. So I was so blessed to have that time with Jordy before she decided to, you know, move in a different direction, and I'm really looking forward to being able to pick up where we left off in the days coming.
We've asked what the past week has been like for her, but what has the past week been like for you?
Right. It's been wow. You know, I'm actually driving in my car, and you know, in your car, you see your dashboard, you're hooked up to CarPlay, and you see Jordy Bahl's name pop up there, and you're like, whoa. And so I'm like, well, you better answer it. And you know what? It was really, I don't know how long we talked, maybe 15 minutes, but we didn't talk about softball at all. It was really just a moment to reconnect, and I got to tell her that, you know, when she moved in a different direction, there was never one hard feeling from any of our staff. Sorry for the emotion. And that we have always been Jordy Bahl fans, as a person first, as an athlete second, and that never wavered. And so if she was calling me, I was hoping that it wasn't to tell me she was going to Creighton or Omaha, but that she had an interest in Nebraska, and that certainly was what she was calling about, and that she needed to know that she would be returning to a place that is welcoming her with open arms. And so that was the start of it. And then, you know, how on that same dashboard, you see your phone blowing up because she had made her statement, and then it's like from there. I mean, full disclosure, I'll tell on myself. I'm driving back from a funeral that I had attended in Iowa, and I missed my turnoff like 6 times. I used, I think, a whole tank of gas driving back and forth in Iowa. So there was just a lot going on. So I'm kind of telling a little story on myself there, but.
For caliber, who also is from the state and wants to be a Husker, what kind of impact can she have on your program and also the state? Softball in the state.
Well, I think we need to start with even bigger than our program, right? Because, she just, the way you heard her, she's tremendous in front of the media. She's a tremendous ambassador for Nebraska. That's the one thing I've always known about Jordy. I've coached a lot of young women that call Nebraska home. And I remember telling our staff when she committed, back when she was an 8th grader, there have been very few that have rivaled how much she's loved her home state, her home city, Papillion. So I just think what she brings from the inside out is really, people talk about generational athletes, but she might be a generational force for the University of Nebraska. And I think one of the biggest things is wherever she goes, she's going to earn that respect and that kind of attention. I think that as a mama bear, I want to make sure we protect her so she can focus on achieving all the goals she wants to achieve as a student athlete here too.
Seeing her career play out over the past couple of years at Oklahoma, just how have you seen her kind of develop, just I guess as a player, just kind of watching from afar over these past few years?
Well, I think she's been on her natural progression. She was so good. She was so good as an 8th grader. That's why I knew of her really early. I remember getting a phone call from her pitching coach, Darren Dubsky, and saying, I've got one that's really different. And he meant that in the most positive way. So, she's just continued to develop. And if you understand her work ethic, you know why she's continued to develop. So her work ethic has not only been in her physical game, but her mental and emotional game. And she was in a great environment at Oklahoma, that championship mindset is real. And I look forward to leaning in and learning from her about what she learned down there, because if we're constant learners, I'm gonna try to figure out some things that have really helped her along the way. So I think she's just doing what Jordy does, and she keeps growing. And we're really excited to be able to maximize her game. She's a tremendous offensive weapon too. And, even when she came on her visit last week, we didn't talk too much softball. We just kind of, again, reacquainted and tried to take care of some of the other business. But I did ask her one question. I said, can you confirm that you'd like to hit? And then when she posted and she had a bat, I'm like, I think we know. So, I'm just really excited for the entire athlete that she is.
You mentioned what you can learn from her. I asked her a similar question, but what can just mentally someone who's been to the top of the mountain that you're trying to scale, what are the lessons someone can bring to a team like that?
Yeah, I don't think it happens over a day or one conversation. I think it's just going to be felt and infiltrated, within our team in little micro conversations or just, interacting with their teammates. I will tell you, it was really exciting. We came last week, she came on Wednesday, and we were going to have lunch at the training table. And like she said, she not only played with some of these players, but played against many of them. And the ones that are still in town are basically our Nebraska kids. And I don't even know I realized it this deeply, but they all jumped up from the table and went and hugged her. And I'm like, that's not just a hug for a potential prospect, right? That's long-term friendship right there, long-term friendship. And then I was talking to Billy and Brooke's older sister, Nicole, in Kansas City as I was recruiting this weekend, and she said, yeah, Jordy was in my wedding. I'm like, who knew that? So there's just a lot of years and a lot of layers to how already she's been a part of our program in one way or another.
Have you heard from any players who want to transfer here? Has that happened in the last week?
I don't know what I'm allowed to say, but we're still prospecting. Let's just put it that way.
Have you and Trev talked about how many bodies you're going to possibly be able to get in bowling next year?
Trev and I had a meeting yesterday about that very thing, and been meeting with Keith Zimmer, our sport administrator, and I know that there's a plan in place. I think we're working through the details, but what a great problem to have, right? Just so exciting. I know that bowling right now is capacity at 2,500. I know, we're going to have to obviously up that because we want anybody that wants to be in that stadium to be able to fit in that stadium. So we're going to do our best to make sure we can accommodate that.
talking about how you're going to use her. Obviously, you're going to pitch her. You talked about her being somebody that wants to hit as well. You use pitchers two ways, as pitchers and hitters more than most. Why is that?
Well, I think I don't know that it's been by design like, yeah, we're going to use a pitcher two-way. I think when you see an athlete and if they have athletic talent on both sides of the ball, then absolutely we're going to utilize that talent. And there's just a long history of that. I'll go back, of course, we could most notably go to Courtney Wallace this year, and we paced her a little bit, but we can go back to Tatum Edwards. And if you recall that 15-inning game against Florida, Tatum started. I think Nate will probably know exactly. She pitched the first 7 or 8 innings. We brought her out. We thought she was fatiguing a little bit. We put her in left field, and then Emily Lockman threw 3 or 4 innings, and then we bring Tatum back in to pitch. All the while, the reason we put her in left field, she was a great athlete, but we couldn't afford to take her bat out of the lineup. I think she was hitting leadoff for us that particular year. So we look at Jordy as I watched her play so much, and I don't know if in high school, I know that they were probably more feared with her on the mound, but nobody wanted her up to bat against them either. In her senior year, she had 20 home runs, and they were legitimate. Like, they were getting out of the ballpark. So, she just has that extra competitive fire, and she has that will to win, and it doesn't matter if she's on the mound with the face mask on or if she's in the box with the helmet on. She's going to be a force to be reckoned with.
She said she wants to hit more?
She loves hitting. She loves hitting. So I don't think she's going to argue with that opportunity to be in our lineup, to earn a spot in our lineup.
How much do you hope Jordy being back in the state can kind of propel the girls softball movement in Nebraska, and maybe she can kind of be like the next Jordan Larson, where she really motivates young players?
Yeah. I think that Nebraska softball at the state level, whether it's high school or club ball, is really healthy and growing and vibrant, as you can tell by some of the really quality student athletes that are coming out of Nebraska. But I think the Jordy Bahl effect is real. I know she's so humble and full of humility that she probably doesn't even like me saying that. She'd probably kick me but I think it is really real, and I think that's exciting because, that's what she wants to do. She wants to help grow the game, and she's going to help grow the game, and then it's going to give others a platform to continue to grow the game, because she's going to open so many doors for not only herself to have opportunities to grow the game, but for so many other Nebraska student athletes.
How do you plan to guide and manage a high-profile athlete like her?
Matt Smith is my guy. So I called Matt. I said, Matt, Matt and I have been working together for 20 years. Said, I'm going to need your help here. Had a lot of conversations with Keith Zimmer, our sport administrator, and even when Keith and I met with Trev yesterday, we touched upon it, because that's going to be really important, and we're going to just navigate it day by day.
Anything else, Coach? Okay, thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you.